the Pat Mayo Experience.
Pat Mayo Experience. Pat Mayo Experience. Pat Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by DraftKings, Charles Schwab Challenge Picks, bets one and done, plus a PGA recap. The Listeners League is now available. It's down in the description. Only 2,000 spots this week because they got to it late, so it's going to fill very, very quickly. So I suggest that you get into that right now. Smash the like while you're here as well. Give me your winner, or at least your favorite longer shot play down in the description. Geoff Fienberg is on the line with me. Guess we should have seen it coming. Brooks Koepka, huh?
Easy game. The king is back. The king is back. Second at the Masters, just long demanding Northeast golf course. What we watched him do on Friday in our cut sweat, like just make all those pars on the first nine. His Friday was a hellhole and then come home like a banana. Incredible. Congrats to Brooks. Congrats to his backers. I think it is so rare in this outright golf betting game, Pat, where I think the books actually take a hit of any sort of consequence. Maybe it was a small one, but it felt like it was, they could have. Congrats to all the Brooks people. There were many of them, and many of them like forcefully in the camp, and even as big as I think 45 to 1 on Thursday night. So even better. Yeah, put him back on his throne. It's just perfect. It just feels normal, like we're back in an old time, like we've been here before. Credit, like he was amazing. There's nothing else to say. My prince is still a prince, and Brooks is the king of kings.
The king, you truly are the king of kings.
Well, like
Geoff is doing his Ben-Hur impression.
He's got 5. Like 5 is rare. Like it's so, I don't even know. People watching our show know what 5 means. 4 was already a cloud above mortals. And now we're like stepping clouds into like ultra rarefied. So credit to him. I'm certainly probably not the last. Yeah.
Well, a cloud stepper. I don't think I've ever heard that before, but since we do a recap for the majors, we thought it'd be fun to have a habitual cloud stepper on the line. His name, Tim Andergust.
Tim Andergust.
That's not my name.
Are you not a habitual cloud stepper?
No, that's great.
Listen, Brooks is back on his throne, and for a day, Tim gets to get on his throne. He puts his medal back on to celebrate a past marathon accomplishment.
Absolutely.
So credit to everybody. Congrats.
And Brooks can absolutely win this week, too. And you should probably bet him.
Oh, I made a live bet.
You should.
They're playing this week?
Yeah, they're playing at Trump National in D.C.
Pat, do you want to know the Brooks effect? I had books that they literally don't even put out live odds until Wednesday. They start Friday. Yeah. So Wednesday, they were up this morning before PGA. I hit Bryson 24 to 1 enhanced.
I see that.
Long Fazio course. That was that was my first bet of the morning. People talk about first clicks.
Yeah, he's still lingering there at 24 to 1 as well. Interesting.
All I've heard is it's a long Fazio course in DC. Brooks has played well in Maryland. That counts for anything.
Has he played well in
Bryson?
Maryland?
Bryson. Yeah.
Where did he play well in Maryland?
I wasn't there the second place. I'll find it for you right now.
Congressional?
He lost in a playoff.
He lost in a playoff, or he won in a playoff at Muirfield Village, but that's in Ohio.
Okay, he lost in a playoff on a Fazio design to Cantley in Maryland.
Was that like
if
a
BM, like I don't know, that's just like a minor. That's a minor design geography comp. It's just long, and that was when I looked at the course they're playing. I saw it was long, and I'm like, I'm betting Bryson at 24 to 1. I would
Thomas
assume
Peters.
He should be up. Well, I bet him every week on live, every week. But I assume Bryson today would be up with like Cam Smith 12, 14 to 1 with DJ, sort of, and the live betting board. Anyhow, that's here nor there. But I do have a Bryson live bet already locked for the week.
Yeah, looking at the odds right now, he is the same odds as Uline and Harold Varner, and behind Mito and Charles Howell III. That's interesting. Coming off a really nice PGA Championship. Were you happy to have Bryson back in your life for just a little touched him? Because I was.
Well, for some of us, he hasn't been out of our lives. For some of us, we've been watching all the professional golf tours, the two top ones. So it's not like Bryson lives in a different world to me, but it was delightful to see Bryson looking healthier, looking happier, swinging freely. He is totally live for Los Angeles Country Club. It's going to be. He's looking good. He's looking. I was delighted to see how Bryson played.
And it's weird with Brooks winning, because it did feel like there were certain live guys still getting the live treatment on the broadcast, as in Patrick Reed was making a run at one point. He was 3 under through 6 holes, and before the leaders actually like completely teed off. So he was within, what was it, like 4 of the lead or something like that. And he and Cam Smith were the 2 hottest guys on the course at that moment in time. And they were showing a ton of Cam Smith. Straka was another one who was hot, and they showed all of him. And just Patrick Reed, they showed him make birdie on 1, and then it's like he didn't exist anymore. I actually thought
because people don't want to see him. That's not a live thing. That's a people despise Patrick Reed thing.
I don't know.
2 years ago, they would have shown almost exactly the same amount of Patrick Reed shots, the fewest possible required.
But Bryson got dropped pretty quickly too. As soon as unless he was making birdie, there was just not a whole lot of Bryson going on. Like at one point, they ran a vignette over his shot, didn't show it at all, and he was playing with Connors, and they cut back to Connors.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. This was the greatest weekend possible for the PGA Tour, even with a live guy winning. This was like the perfect weekend for the PGA Tour, because the story of the championship isn't that the live guy won. Live is like the Brooks is the second order story, and the PGA can talk about their tour. We talk about Michael Block, and talk about how him going to Colonial and him going to the Canadian Open are like the biggest stories in golf right now. Like it or not, think it's justified or not, that's fine. These are stories that transcends golf. These are the story of the sport world right now. And Brooks Koepka winning his 5th major championship, and Liv having now won 2 of the last 3 majors, Cam Smith and Brooks, doesn't matter. That's a second order question compared to Michael Block. So the PGA Tour they were so happy about the circumstance that their actual Twitter account tweeted a congratulations tweet out to Brooks Koepka yesterday, which I don't think they would have done had that been the biggest story in the golf world.
Brooks never burned bridges. The only bridges that really feel like they've been burned are the European older guys, though,
and
right?
Phil.
And Phil, like Brooks, DJ, like it didn't feel like.
Am I wrong though? Am I not?
No.
What I just said is wrong.
I would frame it this way: is that if any live guy could win, Brooks is the best outcome for the PGA Tour, because he seems like the most non-live guy. Because he just doesn't seem to care. He doesn't wear the team gear. He doesn't do any of that shit. He's still a Nike guy. There's all the backdoor channels that he's trying to get back on the PGA Tour. The only reason he went to live in the first place is because he thought he was so hurt that he would never get back to this form again. And it's working out well for Liv. I do want to say, though, you can't say Liv has won 2 of the past 3 when Cam Smith wasn't.
Is that what I said? I said live players have won 2 of the last 3 majors.
But he wasn't a live player when he won.
You're right.
No, but the players are current. I get what Tim said. You can't really dispute it. They own 2 of the last 3 major championships.
Okay.
I mean, if the USGA can throw people out of the US Open because they were eligible and had to qualify for the FedEx Cup, then we can do the same thing here.
And Brooks, I mean, like, there's no point in relitigating it because he just won a major. But I do think, like, it is sad to think in a way that he left because he lost some self-belief, and they were giving all of this money, but he is the perfect live player because he never cared about PGA events. He gets all this money, and he's proven he can still, when healthy, get himself in the perfect position to be at the top of the board in these majors. And the only thing that can stop this guy is a slippery pool deck. No, like that's the old, like, right? He was recovering from an injury, and the myth is he slipped at a pool party. I almost slipped like 3 times last summer at pool parties off my bad wheel. Dangerous.
After you win a golf bet, do you walk out to your car and have like the 20 of your closest bros congratulate you?
I don't know, that was set up weird. We've seen Brooks like win majors and like, go to the club. That was weird. I don't know.
Well,
get on a jet to Florida for Game 4.
Well, he had to get on a jet to get to the fucking clubhouse to sign his scorecard. It was the longest walk in history.
It was like that pan from Goodfellas as they go through the restaurant. That's essentially what it was like.
I did enjoy that.
The only thing annoying.
Go. You go.
I still think it was annoying when Brooks, when asked why he was going to live, said, why do you made it like, why do you care? Why do you care? It's like, that'd be like telling Packer or football fans, like, why do you care that Aaron Rodgers, doesn't want to play? I don't know. Because we care. That was just a really weird answer. But as it was said at the time, live is the perfect place for him if he truly lives by the I don't give a shit about the other events. Now he just gets huge gobs to play a sprinkle of events. Well, he's the man.
Well, Tim,
and all his exemptions get totally reset for the Masters if they were going to play extreme hardball on world rankings and things. And that's probably only a matter of time before he wins that.
I mean, he was in next year's Masters regardless for finishing second. But
but he gets a total reset clock.
Correct.
Of exemptions. That's all. And that and obviously as the PGA and the U.S. Open ones, but that Masters one, if the world ranking people really ended up being scum of the earth, God whatever, then that'd have been horrible.
He also won an exemption to this week's KLM Dutch Open if he wants to play.
And he also made the Ryder Cup team.
He hasn't made the Ryder Cup team. He's now second in the standings. He still needs, I think he needs 2 top 10s at the final 2 majors in order, because the other guys are going to build up a whole bunch of points directly behind him as well. And as someone pointed out, the leaderboard shook down great for him in terms of other guys not getting points. There was no Morikawa, no Justin Thomas. Spieth ended up falling back. Sam Burns, shot 11 billion over par, so he wasn't able to make up any ground ever. So now it's just Scheffler and Brooks at the top. Those other guys are going to collect points along the way.
Just you wait until Michael Block plays great in these tournaments.
God.
They have to make him a captain's pick for the Ryder Cup.
Vice captain.
Would you say, if I gave you 2 scenarios this week for Colonial with Michael Block in the field, what do you think is more likely to happen, Jeff? A top 10 finish or dead fucking last?
It's not even close. Dead last.
Yeah.
Listen, they made it so much where I almost agree with, as much as people think I don't listen or I totally hate a certain podcast. It's just one guy on the podcast. It's really annoying. He's soft as baby shit. I like the whole other crew. They made a great point. They got it to the point where they turned a great story and had everyone but Tim can't stand the guy.
I don't think
that's
anybody's
view.
No.
That's nobody's view.
That is the view of people who are sad about themselves on Twitter. I was at the gym this morning, CNN was on in the background, and they were talking about that. So I don't think that 98% of people are actually annoyed by Michael
There's
Block.
nothing cynical. It's a great story.
It's Twitter assholes who are it's legitimately a great story.
Great story.
And
if you're upset, touch grass.
Yeah. I would tend to agree with you on that, because it was annoying during when we were doing the Cut Sweat show, or even on Thursday when it was hey, we'll show Adam Scott and Michael Block, and that's all that they were showing. That didn't seem to make a whole lot of sense. But he was playing with Rory. We got just as much Rory as we did Michael Block, and Michael Block was playing about as well as Rory was until the very end, and it was high drama and there was real stakes, and it's the reason why I think a lot of us push back against these elevated events, and especially limiting the field when it comes to the elevated events. I remember us talking in Phoenix when we got the first one under our belts, that one of the best stories about Phoenix, I mean, Scheffler winning was awesome. JT was making a run. He was up there. Cantlay was, I think it was Cantlay or Xander, whoever it was. But the real story in all of this would be how much Nick Taylor's life would change playing in that final group. It was Rahm who was in the final group with them. But like that was sort of the story, other than like the big names. Like, hey, here's this guy. He's won twice on the PGA Tour. This would be a monumental win for his career. It would solidify his tour card. It would set him up for life. And that was sort of, the higher end version of what we were seeing with Michael Block, because the guy was a 2-time PGA Tour winner to begin with. But that's the sort of drama and the sort of storytelling that they are missing a lot of the times if they're just, and it's one of the main reasons you brought it up with Liv. Like, Liv had this last year when that college dude won. It was like, oh shit. Like, here we go. But it's hard to create new stars and new storylines every single week to give people some variety. This is probably never going to happen again, something like this. And that's what made it so fun to root for.
Yeah. My wife
it was magical.
Like, people I was with enjoyed it. It was, yeah, I mean, there are certain points, I think, on what was it? I guess Saturday, like he'd hit a green in 2 and be like, he'd act like me, hitting like the long par 4 in 2 at my course, which I never do in 2, and like looking like trying to, and like taking applause from people. Like, it was very, like, that was the only thing. Like, there were some moments on Thursday where he was annoying me, but that was just because it was late in the day and I had bets. Like, that's all that was.
Jeff wants to bash him so badly, but he realizes Jeff wants to bash him so badly.
No.
He's come into a spot where he knows you and I feel very differently. That now he feels like he's got to backtrack and not take the hit.
Hold on.
I didn't insult this guy one time.
Yeah, but you want to, because you know better. You know better publicly than go out and bash poor Michael Block. Like, I don't really care. To be perfectly honest with you, it doesn't really make a difference to me. But I was watching it with my wife, and she got invested in the Michael Block story. Like,
that's what I just said.
That's what we want to see.
No, Tim, don't make me out to be one of those people. My Twitter feed was, other than making fun of you, my Twitter feed was encouraging. I love the reactions from his home club. I'm saying on Saturday, when I have like bets, his like aw shucks face for like hitting a golf shot was like annoying me. But I wasn't one of these people like, this story's bullshit. Stop telling me the story.
Do you agree with the RCGA offering him the spot at the Canadian Open or not?
Listen, I don't. It's a bad break for other guys in that exemption circuit. I tell you, this guy just gas can them all.
I think it was a bad idea by the Canadian Open to give him a spot. I would have waited to see how he does at Colonial this week, because it really feels like he might come last place.
And then if he comes in last place, you're going to have some Canadian media. Why didn't you give that to some Canadian club pro?
No, I mean, who cares?
I think it was the right thing to do. Give him 2 exemptions. And if he doesn't play any of his next year's PGA, like if he doesn't play well, great. Then it was a story.
Send him a Masters invite.
And it was fun. If he plays really well at either of these 2 tournaments, the U.S. Open should absolutely extend him an invite. If he finishes in the top 10 of either tournament, just give it to him. Who cares?
How old is he?
47.
46.
Oh, so he's
47.
So like, what? He should just be given temporary membership on the Champions Tour in 4 years.
Yeah, but no one will remember him at that point.
But like, take advantage. The PGA Tour has caught lightning in a bottle here, and so like, take advantage.
No.
Like, this is a great, fun story.
It is a great fun story. To say they've caught lightning in a bottle, I really feel like that bottle was contained once that tournament was over. They're going to try to extend it this week. It's probably not going to work. And listen, it'd be great if it did, and the guy like contends to win at Colonial, which I just don't see happening. But this feels like it's run its course. It was a 1-week story. Okay. It was great.
But we thought that after every round of the PGA.
Sure. But it was the same course over and over. I mean, it's not like this guy hasn't played on the PGA Tour this year. He's played 3 other tournaments and basically came last.
No, I'm with you. And that's probably what's going to happen. But 2 tournaments, give him a chance. If he crashes out, hey, you know what? Then it was a fun story. I have no issue with it.
Is he getting featured group, Pat?
They kind of joked about it on the broadcast that, I mean, this would be the tournament to put him into the featured group, because Nance was joking that he'd be on the featured group next year for the PGA Championship. Like, there's no fucking chance that that's going to happen. Yeah, give him a featured group this week. Let him play with Scheffler and Spieth or something like that.
100%.
See, that will I have no issues with that. I have no issues with that at all. That will bother a lot of people.
Who cares?
I
Fuck
could
them.
care less. Yeah, no, I'm not even barely watching on Thursday anyway for that to bother me at Colonial.
Think about the random jabronis that you get in featured groups anyway on a week-to-week basis. Like, who cares?
It's like, I can't believe they put him in a featured group over Russell Henley.
Steven Yeager had him finish better. Actually, I don't even think he did end up finishing better. But either way, Steven Yeager, I have him on my DraftKings team. How dare you put Michael Block in there? Like, if you're gonna
How owned is he going to be in DraftKings?
Oh, I mean, it is I don't know. I'm going to talk about, obviously I'll talk about this with Tambo on Wednesday. I think it does depend on his price, but if he's not the minimum, I don't see how that's possible. Like if he's,
I mean, he did.
What
Really,
are
a
his
guy who
odds?
just finished top 15 at a major, he's minimum. Yeah, look at the betting odds. should
What did
probably
I mean?
be,
I've looked at odds. I've made bets, but I don't go down that far. I didn't even look. What are his odds, Pat?
he's 400 to 1. Like he is the same odds to win this tournament as Kramer Hickok and Russell Knox.
That's pretty jokes, but whatever. I mean,
And
it's all
he has the same odds, Tim, as your guy, Adam Long.
I do like Adam Long. 400 to 1 doesn't seem like an outrageous number.
It's
for
a
him.
pretty pretty outrageous number. Do you know who else is in this tournament, Tim?
No.
Your
Who?
boy, straight out of Compton.
No way.
Yeah.
That would be great to see him do well too.
I wouldn't
he's
even
the
put
$1,000
$1 on
Okay,
Block if he was $1,000,000 to 1.
Michael Block
Really?
has better odds to win this tournament than Kevin Kisner does.
Unless it's rigged.
Well, there was an element that it kind of felt like it was.
I was waiting for this. I was waiting
I
for
mean-
one of you two to bring up the conspiracy thinking.
Well,
And I'm glad to see that both of you couldn't help yourself. That ace, there was a magnet in that ball, wasn't there, Jeff?
I don't know.
Took
I'm
out
not
the magnet.
saying
The
yesterday
magnet was
was
in the cup.
rigged.
It
I'm
just
not
seemed
saying yesterday was rigged. I'm saying maybe they'll rig it for this one.
No, there was a magnet in the cup, and that's why the ball smashed that part of the hole when it went in to get rid of the magnet, to cover up the evidence. The truth is
Between
out
this
there,
and Phil
people.
between this and Phil winning, holy shit, does the PGA have a Truman Show like apparatus?
Or what Mito did last year.
Like,
they called it in on poor Mito.
what a glorious tournament. And to see like every player, essentially 98% of the players just applaud the setup. Seeing a guy like Shane Lowry say this is the best major championship setup I've ever played, and he's a true mutter or a true like, shitty setup kind of guy is where he could peak. I don't know, what a great job. Brooks is just unstoppable, man.
There was only two
Back
instances.
to block.
There was only two instances of Brooks not being unstoppable on Sunday. It was directly after both times Tim tweeted.
That was unfortunate.
Were you sweating that a little bit?
Yeah, I was getting concerned. Yes, I was getting concerned because at one point he was up 4 strokes and he was in the slot, and then next thing you know, boom, he makes that ridiculous shot. Oh, here's what I want to say. I think Brooks should write a check to Hovland's caddy, because the fact that Hovland's caddy would allow him to hit the exact same club in 16 in that bunker that Connors hit the day before in the same spot. I don't know how the caddy doesn't throw his body in front of Hovland. You can't hit a 9-iron out of that bunker. It can't be done. Why did he try to do that? He lost by 2 strokes. He took a double on the hole. All he had to do was make par, and that thing goes to a playoff. How can that possibly happen? It's not some obscure person who made a double in that bunker in that spot. It was the guy who was leading the tournament Saturday, and everyone knows what club he hit. How in the world at that level can that mistake possibly be made?
I thought it was, I mean, you don't know what's going through people's heads at the time. I'm sure there was lots of people in that bunker all week who didn't get stuck. And that's the one that you remember because it happened, and then it happens again. But there's probably like 100 people in that bunker all week, and it didn't happen to them. But just because we didn't see it doesn't mean it didn't happen. That'd be like the Patrick Reed win. If Patrick Reed had somehow won this tournament, because he would have finished way before everyone else, like, let's say he posts at -5, and then conditions get, like, absolutely horrific, everyone falls back. Would he still be considered champion of the tournament if we didn't see a shot of his?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I was really hoping that was that's what I was rooting for, because all my guys were way out of it at that point. But as Paul brought up, and I kind of agreed. I'll see how you feel about this, Geoff. Although all the guys that I bet on were absolute dog shit, and I didn't really have anyone coming down the stretch. I thought it was one of the most compelling major championships just to sit back and watch in a long time.
I loved it. I was enthralled. Like the major championship duel, I didn't predict like we wanted. Like, wouldn't be one like Brooks versus Victor. Wouldn't be one you'd be like, oh, if I could pick them. But it was as good as anything you could like pick of your own choosing. Brooks got out to that huge, blow through those punches early. Victor just answered all day. Victor hung around. It was incredible. It was incredible. I love Victor. I'm an apologist for Victor.
There's nothing to apologize for with Victor and how he played on Sunday. Outside of one bad mistake, he played great. He shot 2 under in the final round. Most days that would probably be good enough to win. The only thing that I was fearing the entire time that somehow Scheffler was going to fucking win, and just
Scheffler brought his C game to the tournament. Other than Thursday, Friday, he brought his C game. He should have shot worse on Saturday. He had that ball skip off the water. He should have taken 2 more strokes. But Scheffler did not play well and had a 10% chance to win that tournament as the turn was made.
Padded Room Memes just sent me the thumbnail for this show.
Oh no.
What do you think it is?
Is it Michael Block related? It has to be Michael Block related.
It is Michael Block. It's just Michael Block with his arm around Geoff.
Why?
Because everybody sort of suspected that if of the 3 of us, you would have the least positive reaction.
No, I had the same reaction as everybody, except on the end of Saturday when
just make your stance. I hate Michael Block. You can just say
not
it.
Not a chance. See, this is made up. Like, you could just
if he takes my locker at the Canadian Open, I'll leave my club.
If he listen, I'm just saying, if I hated Michael Block or he was annoying me on the weekend, I tweet when I feel strongly about things. I never tweeted that. All my tweets were good Michael Block things.
I almost sent a tweet yesterday and my wife stopped me from sending it, because I got confused about what was going on and I rewound it. I even took the video on my phone of it because I was so confused that when Brooks was getting the Wanamaker, in the background, you had all your old fuddy-duddies with their blue suits on. And there was this one Asian dude in the background and he wasn't clapping. He was just going like this. He was just doing jazz hands. I was like,
oh,
what?
Yeah, that's how he must have been signing.
He was signing. I didn't realize that because I have no fucking clue. My wife's like, yeah, you might not want to send that one out. I was like,
yeah,
good call on that one. I was like, who's
that's
this guy
sign language for applause.
Yeah, he's just doing jazz hands behind Brooks. It was the weirdest thing.
Also, Michael Block is in the shot of Brooks getting the trophy, if you notice closely. Don't tell me that wasn't framed a particular way.
Sure.
I just loved it. It's great. I kind of feel a little bit for Brooks, but Brooks couldn't care less.
Oh, 4 years ago, Brooks would have been annoyed. 4 years ago, 5 years ago, younger Brooks would have been annoyed this guy was stealing some of his rub.
And now I feel like Brooks couldn't care less. He just won his 5th major. He should have won the Masters.
Should he have won the Masters? Rahm played great on Sunday.
Yeah, but Brooks sort of threw it away. And look, if Brooks plays his best, if he's not the betting favorite at the U.S. Open, there's value on him because he ought to be.
I'm not saying he should have won the Masters, but he was right there and he could have won the Masters. So that counts for a lot.
I would actually say that Rahm should be the heavy favorite at LA Country Club. When you get to California courses, just John Rahm, Max Homa, Colin Morikawa. Those are your guys.
Okay, so also let's talk about this because old PGA Brooks, when there was a schedule and we did states, my memory is he never liked California, despite playing really well at the major at Pebble. And he only sort of felt forced back there when Tiger took over the Genesis and Tiger sending you an invitation, I'm going. But he seemed to never like Torrey. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm making that up.
You're right. He's obviously a New York State golfer.
Yeah, he gagged at Harding Park, too. Wasn't he winning at Harding Park?
He was leading, and he finished like 23rd or something.
Yeah, he had a
So
really
what
bad
you're saying
Sunday.
to me though is based on Pebble and Harding Park, just because he doesn't like going like California golf isn't his choice. When there's a major championship there, he's still going to play pretty well.
He was
So
T
I'm
he
gonna
was
shut up
T4
now.
he was T4 at Torrey in the 2021 US Open.
Yeah, so exactly.
Yeah,
But
I also,
don't know why.
I'm
You would always
not
avoid
saying
it.
that he has no chance of winning at LA Country Club. It's just when you get to California, there's like 5 guys who just, for whatever reason, I mean, it's probably because they're from there or they're comfortable with the green types, the rough types, the Kikuya grass, whatever it might be. It's just that they perform so much better than their baseline in California, and Rahm is one of those guys. The guy just dominates in California.
Yeah. I just remember Brooks saying he didn't like he kept it off his. He would try to avoid them. He went there for majors and Tiger.
Well, if it wasn't for winning majors and like cheering for the Florida Panthers, what does Brooke like?
Hanging out at the pool, just being a dude's dude. I don't know, drinking Michelob's, like being alpha, like pretty cool guy.
Did you appreciate how Bryson's the new Ricky, the first guy to give first player to give Brooks a handshake? Although it was probably because Brooks finished like 30 minutes before and he was just walking back from where he had to sign his scorecard.
You're probably right. And no, I don't want to go there yet because I feel like we all feel like it's only a matter of time. But I need to acknowledge that I felt it was only a matter of time with Ricky until I no longer felt it was a matter of time. So like Victor having this year like Ricky did, where maybe we do like T5 in all these majors. I don't know. I just hate wasting opportunities. Although I don't know how many. It almost felt like the first couple, it was like Vic was like kind of happy to be there. And this one, he's like, no, I'm going to actually try to win this thing. If that makes any sense. Or maybe I'm just being an apologist. I don't know.
I don't see why LA Country Club doesn't set up really well for Victor. He's won at Riviera. He was the low am at Pebble Beach when they had the U.S. Open there. Like, he's done well in California in his career. He almost won Torrey that year as well. Not for the U.S. Open. He almost won it the year that Patrick Reed won. I think he was in the lead until he
shot the green twice on the weekend, the same hole.
The same hole. I think it was number 12.
The same hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's no reason why he couldn't win, right? He didn't win at Riviera.
I'm expecting him to
Riviera?
play great.
No, he lost to Neiman at Riviera. That's what happened. But he's been great at Riviera in his career. He's just played really well at the California courses. And what was Torrey Pines? Was that 2021? Oh shit!
21. He withdrew
because he had the sand. He got the sand in his eyes.
Yeah, I mean he's had 3 top 10s in a major, but they've all been his last 3 tournaments.
It's pretty good.
So yeah, like he's hitting his like the U.S. Open. This was not his fault. Really, he got beat. The Open Championship, he had a really bad strategy and got beat playing bad strategy at St. Andrews.
But he lulled Rory into sleep, and then Cam Smith came from behind.
Yeah, essentially, he did to Rory what my friend did to me the time we played Risk, and he stole he put all his armies in the same countries next to me so that I couldn't win. But it also meant that he couldn't win, and so that's basically what Victor did to himself at the Open Championship. He never really was ever going to win the Masters, and he just got beat. He just got beat by Brooks today. So I don't put that on him.
We're playing Cabot with that same friend next week. Should we bring the Risk board to see if he?
No, I won't play with him ever again with that Risk. Absolutely not. His number one goal is to make me not win. Well, congratulations, pal. You did it. You can't win either. But anyway, Victor is absolutely live to win the U.S. Open, but like. Still pick Brooks, probably.
Well, you picked Brooks at the Masters, and he didn't win. And then you didn't pick him at the PGA Championship, and he did win.
Yeah, I mean, Brooks is certainly live. Imagine having 3 U.S. Opens and 3 PGA Championships and being there with Nick Faldo.
It's really weird. Like that's but Faldo also has the Masters too.
Yeah, well, Faldo has
Brooks
3
has
Masters
to get a
and 3 Open
Masters.
Championships.
You have to get a Masters, man.
Wait, what would you rather? Would you rather 3 U.S. Opens and 3 PGA Championships, or 3 Masters and 3 Opens? Because it's very clearly Masters and Open Championships.
Masters. You want them
Masters.
as much as you can play in the PGA Championship forever. It's just not the same. And it is the same. Like, we count the majors. They're worth the same in that totality, but it is not the same. Like, and he's been second, it feels twice, right? At the Masters.
Yeah.
The year Tiger won, he was like tied third then, maybe second, third.
DJ ended up coming. What the hell happened to DJ? We were watching him. He was like 4 under on Friday. Then he just fell off the face of the earth.
They got in the rain, I guess.
That's exactly it. When DJ starts going badly, as you know, DJ can go very badly.
Brooks is 14-1. He's still fourth on the betting board. I saw some criticism directed towards Rory about his final round. I thought that, listen, I don't think that he really cared about coming in second. I think that because he got like kind of shit on for pin seeking every hole. Well, what do you want the guy to do? If he knows that the winning score is going to be like at least 7 under and he's at even, he kind of has to take on every pin.
And
you're right. The broadcast started shitting on him on the second hole. He was going for a 6-foot putt and he missed it and he was short-sided and whatever. But
they set that course up so that you could pin seek. I actually thought they put the pins in very available spots yesterday.
Anyone who was under par through 3 rounds was playing fantastic, should feel great about themselves. Like, I get Rory has to deal with a whole different thing, and people who bet Rory are betting him at a short price, so it's like a win-only window of expectation, but thought he played great.
Did you watch? Because they were using basically the rabbit guys on Sunday to get us acclimated where the pins are on the course. Rahm was number 1. Spieth was up there as well. And then they started showing Cam Smith. Cam Smith could have been 6 under through 6 because he missed a short birdie putt on 2. It was either 1 or 2 he missed the short birdie putt, or maybe it was 3. And then he missed another one on 5. It was like, shit. And then he birdied 6. It's like, no one's birdieing 6. Everyone's just making... What? Everyone what?
Everyone is screwed. Once he like has a proper setup for a golf season, everyone is screwed again. Like if he's just finding himself now because he had no like warm up to a season, like he's going to maybe dominate these next. I don't know if LA suits him, but yeah, Cam is probably going to dominate next year. If he has like a good schedule and knows how to prep himself for a season, he's going to win the Masters maybe. Like Liv's got the guys.
Liv's got like 6 guys. 6 really good guys.
Not true.
Well, okay.
And they're the characters.
Give me the list.
I mean, one live guy who you wouldn't put in that top 6 just finished second at a major championship a month ago.
Phil?
Yeah.
I mean, Phil's...
Yeah, he's the mascot.
Yeah, Phil,
I like him.
Phil's the live mascot.
Like he's around where he's evergreen, but he's not part of like the 6, with all due respect.
Yeah, it's Brooks, Cam Smith, DJ, Bryson. I think they're like the big 4 on the live tour. And then you have like the Neiman, Reed. Like Reed's live to win any of these tournaments because he's Patrick Reed. So he's kind of on like a little island by himself. You have a bunch of guys who are like absolutely washed up. Then you have like Neiman, Gooch, Answer, Mito, like those guys.
Louis?
Yeah, Louis pretty old, man.
Sure, but he's not that old.
And Louis not in any of these majors anymore.
Well, he'll be in the British Open.
That's it.
I don't think who. I mean,
like Serge...
Matthew Wolff. I still think Matthew Wolff has got
hold on.
tremendous talent.
There are guys on live where you can like debate why they went, what they're doing, yada yada yada. If it can still work for them for a major, I think we've seen the true elite guys. It can still the setup. They're still fine. Your Brooks, your DJs, your Cam Smiths, your Brysons, they'll be fine. I think Louis, of all the live guys, like he's literally acknowledged openly, like this is perfect for me. I just want to be on my farm at all times. I'm showing up for 14 events. Like he is, I don't want to say he's checked out. Like it's maybe that's not a fair thing to say the morning after a live guy wins a major, but I think he is like not even in that thought process. And maybe that's unfair of me to say, but even like look at what he said. That's put me at that thought. That's why I think that.
Trying to think what else. What do you think was the more impressive feat, Tim? Block's hole-in-one or Block getting it up and down on 18?
Well, in a vacuum, it's the hole-in-one. But I just felt like everything was going too perfectly. And that he was just not going to make that up and down on 18. I don't know. It just something in my gut felt like the fairy tale is going to have this sad ending. And it's just not going to happen. Oh, he's been escaping all weekend and it's finally not going to happen. And like I only fist pumped once all day yesterday. It's when that putt on 18 tipped in the side. I was like, that's perfect. Like this is It makes you feel really good. I watched that video of him talking to the guy from Colonial like 3 or 4 times. Like it's just such a heartwarming story. Like it's there's if you're looking, I'm not talking about Geoff. I'm just saying in general, people who are looking to actually find negative things, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you people? Like get offline. Like your penalty for being nasty to the story about Michael Block should be you shouldn't be online for a week. Like, because it's poisoning your brain. Yeah, exactly. People who,
the internet is poison.
if you really are bothered by the Michael Block story, like you got something to
Hold
work
on.
out. You're not that person. You're not that person. There was a look in your eyes at one point where I thought
for Jeff's biggest rival.
I don't even understand. I'm not even going to try to.
There was a half moment there where I thought you were going to take it in a less than laudatory direction, and I felt you pulled back the reins a bit.
I could, if I cared, get really defensive about.
But you're not one of these people. You're not one of these people.
Meme, but I don't know. I don't know when I did that. Like I acknowledge Saturday afternoon late, like Victor and a Canadian are in the lead, and I'm looking at Block's face, but.
It was that you brought up that other podcast where you said, and you were under the impression that everybody dislikes it.
That the take is, other than outside of the people being like really crazy angry about it, there was a take saying that the broadcast has taken a good story and annoyed it to the point where like I want to like it, but I can't. That was a talking point.
And so it seemed to me like you were about to
I was in a room with people who were obsessed with it. So I saw why it was resonating so well, even in my moments of like, can we watch the guys fighting to win or something? So I was in a room full of people like adoring it. Right.
And I thought I actually thought they didn't overdo it. I thought like the entrance was, a bit overdone, but it was a really nice moment. We got to see him on the first hole. He ends up making the par on the second hole, I think it was. That was really nice. The nice up and down or the long putt, whatever the hell it was. And then we just didn't see him for a while because he wasn't playing very well. And then he kind of came back onto the scene with the hole in one. It's like, oh, now he has like a legitimate chance to get in for next year, which he probably would have done anyway. Let's be real here. The guy tends to win whatever tournament this is every year to get in. But it's not like they jammed it down our throats all day. It's just when he was doing stuff, they showed it, which is all we want to see is more shots.
If you were producing for CNN, CBS, would you have done it any differently, Geoff? Would you have directed that broadcast differently had it been up to you?
Probably
not. That's where the story was.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree, and I've watched enough CBS golf broadcasts to know exactly how they'll story tell. And I thought some of the more enjoyable parts of the weekend, even on Saturday, where I'm talking about where it was bothering me because of Victor and Connor's, what have you, you're hearing like Rose on a hot mic, like telling him, "This is amazing, man," or like, "Great job." And then hearing hot mics of like Rory, or even yesterday when players are asking, "What was that roar?" and people telling them Block made a hole in one. And they're like, just like, they're like standing still applauding from like 6 holes away, not even knowing what happened, just hearing about it. Other tour pros. It was great.
I like that Rory genuinely seemed to enjoy playing with him yesterday too.
Definitely.
Yeah, no, that you were catching like quiet hot mics of that. Yeah, no, it seemed a lot of like great shots and all this stuff. So good on it.
What happened to Corey Connors yesterday? I felt like if anybody should feel really regretful, I feel like he should. This might be the best chance he's ever going to have to win a major. And like he recovered from that disaster on 16 to only be a stroke back or whatever, and like played so well on Saturday to the point where like Jim Nantz couldn't get over how well he was playing. And he just sort of went gentle into that good night. And so I was kind of
par save on 2, like from 100 yards out in the fairway.
And then did you see a shot of his for another 3 hours?
Yeah, it was a tough scene. I
felt bad for him. I felt like he just sort of let it go.
It kind of felt, I mean, we talked about it on the Cut Sweat show that he was basically pulling a Woodland from Pebble Beach, and he was just doing all this stuff well that he never really does, like make putts. And yesterday he just lost it across. He actually did like continue to putt like okay throughout the final 2 rounds, but just to look at his numbers from yesterday, like he was killing it, ball striking the entire week, one of the best guys in the field. He lost a stroke and a half off the tee in the final round. He lost over 3 strokes on approach. Now maybe that was he got it going bad, he fell behind, and then he's like, well, if I'm going to get back into this, I need to press it, almost like Rory. Maybe that was his mentality. He just didn't have it on Sunday at all. And I think that the harder conditions benefited his style of game a lot, because it kind of masked the things that he doesn't do well, because everyone was just riding the struggle bus. Like, yeah, you can be the best scrambler on tour. That's great. Corey Tanner's just going to hit it down the middle and hit every green in regulation. Never have to chip. That kind of thing. That when it became a birdie fest, which it kind of felt like on Sunday, that it just didn't play. He doesn't hit the ball long enough. Realistically, I mean, Cam Smith just made every putt. That's one thing. But like Kitayama, Cam Davis, Seb Straka, Brooks, Victor, Scheffler, all the guys that went super low on Sunday just fucking mashed the ball off the tee.
Fair.
And yet Chez Reavie,
who doubled 18, along with Matthew Neesmith, because Nance said that Brooks had to not double 18, and those were the only 2 guys that did it. Anyway, can we shoot hole 14 into the sun? I'm sick of that hole.
Worst hole.
Yeah,
I have
not enjoy.
I have an easy fix for that hole. There's 2 things you can do to it. Got to make the green way bigger. Got to make it way big. You have to put 3 putts into play on that green. Because I was thinking, like, there should be an element of water on that hole, but even if you took out where the bunkers are and put water in there, even if you went into the water, it's still a pretty easy up and down for par anyway. And like, again, we were talking about this, like Victor, the guy who played the hole the worst was Spieth, because he hit it out of bounds from the bunker, which I don't think I've ever seen before on a hole. But everyone else, like, no matter how poorly you hit it, you were going to make par. Bogey at worst was happening. Like, that sucks for a drivable par. Like, it should be a true risk reward. And it just didn't feel like there was enough risk.
I agree 100%.
And not enough people. Like, I think Cantlay was the only one who eagled it all week.
Cam Davis.
So you had 2. Like, if eagle was actually in play on that hole, and like that's a real swing, like you can make eagle or par or bogey. Okay, you can pick up 2 or 3 strokes on the field, but it was like it was like a baseball thing. There were 3 true outcomes. Either you just had a tap in birdie, or like a 5-foot birdie putt, a tap in par putt, or like you missed a 2-foot putt for bogey.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
The only bogeys on that hole outside of maybe Spieth were guys missing like 4 to 6 foot par putts. And that's just,
like, at least make it like people give the 10th at Riviera shit, but that green is so weird that you can really fuck yourself and make a big number.
Yeah, we've seen it. Yeah.
So
you can't hold that green. It's so awkwardly shaped from so many different chipping angles.
So yeah, I didn't like that hole, but I thought the course itself was pretty nice. Although if they do want to rerun those vignettes about the fucking garbage plate again 10 years from now, canceled tournament.
So I didn't see any of them. Now, maybe it was just the time of day I was watching it. Saturday and Sunday, they kind of didn't talk about it much, and I didn't hear it at all yesterday. So maybe they just had to get it all out of their system on Thursday and Friday, because that was a bit much. But I mean, I suspect maybe this tournament will get it. The place will get it again in 10 years. I know they have the PGA Championship booked up for a long way in the future. So it would
People were actually pretty surprised they didn't formally announce the next one. But I think there's 33. I think people are just, there's a lot of dates, so people are just totally assuming it'll be back there.
I mean, that would make sense. It has had it every 10th year or so. They haven't got one scheduled in 31, 32, or 33. So one would think 33, another 10-year gap would make some sense.
Can I hit you with one conspiracy theory before we get out of here? Probably not even a conspiracy, just probably true, Tim. That when Brooks and Bryson came to the tee, we heard a chorus of boos in the background. Do you think those were crisis booers because it was Woke Hill?
Oh, goodness. No, I don't think that's true.
All right. Do you have a one and done pick for Colonial?
Oh, Sam Burns.
Have you not used Sam Burns yet?
I don't think so. Let me know. If I've used him, I'll use somebody else.
Nope. Sam Burns for you for Colonial.
Okay.
Cool. Right. that will do it for the recap for the PGA Championship. Colonial picks coming up next, but first we need to say goodbye to Tim Undercus. And of course, yes, that is his name. Charles Schwab Challenge at Colonial, shade over 7,200 yards, par 70. Once again, the link is down in the description for the Listeners League. Get that filled up right away so we can make it bigger for next week, because maybe I'll ask for it earlier than I did because I completely forgot about it during the PGA Championship. Geoff, I have a winner of the giveaway too for FantasyNational.com. You ready for this?
Lay it on me.
Joystick won the free and well membership. And this is actually, I asked him if I could share this story, so I do want to read this to you. I thought this was pretty heartwarming stuff. He said, bear with me because I think this story is worth your time. And I read through it. I think that it is. He said, my aunt and uncle used to bet and chat about golf together back in 2008. And they were both huge fans of me and you and the show. My uncle was a huge stat guy, and he was the lead statistician for the Nebraska University for 35 years. He decided to get a membership to Fantasy National in early 2018, and shortly after that, he unexpectedly passed away. Well, he used to help my aunt build her teams, and when he passed, one thing that she missed the most was her late night chats about fantasy golf and making lineups and making bets. So my mom asked if I could help her out. At the time, I knew nothing about the PGA, but figured I'd give it a shot. My aunt found Steve's login, and I used it for the remainder of the year to help her. My aunt got a subscription the next year, and we just kept it going. So my aunt actually introduced me to Fantasy National and the Pat Mayo experience, and I've listened to the shows ever since. Last year was my first year of becoming a member at Fantasy National, and the subscription ran out this month. Well, on Wednesday, she passed away from complications post-surgery. Today, I got your message about winning a free membership to Fantasy National. Can't help but think she was telling me to keep grinding. She truly loved the show and be tickled that I won a membership. Appreciate all you do for the fantasy golf world and the joy that you brought my aunt. I thought that was really nice. But then I got a message from him last night. He said, holy cow, Pat. Sorry to jump into your DMs again, but the story got even more wild. On Tuesday, I visited my aunt in the hospital and asked her who was going to win the PGA Championship. I read off a few names, and when I got to Brooks, she shook her head, yes, squeezed my hand, and gave me a thumbs up. So the next day I bet him, and he sent me the screenshot of him winning a bunch of money on Brooks Koepka.
I'm crying, Pat. I'm crying. I usually only cry when talking about the Chargers or something. My God.
So I guess it was fate that Marty, your name got drawn out. So enjoy the subscription. Our hearts are with you. And I thought that was an amazing story.
So just that, so he won the free subscription essentially shortly after the subscription he was using expired, and it was the day after or the same day as his aunt had passed.
Yes,
essentially. Oh, and she gave him Brooks. Oh my God, I wish my aunts were that cool.
Shout out.
That's a great story. That's an incredible story. That was worth sharing. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, so thank you for Marty for allowing me to share that on this. I had to ask him first. I didn't know how private he wanted that to be, but I thought that was pretty amazing. So,
congrats, Marty, and my condolences as well.
Wow. Shout out to Sean Osborne as well. He won $50K in the $5 on DraftKings as well. So.
Ooh.
Now, that's a big win for viewers of the show. Love to see it. I wish I could win some money. That would be nice. Let's try to do that at Colonial. Scotty Scheffler is at the top of the betting board. At DraftKings, he is, what is he? I'm looking at the U.S. Open. I was like, if he was 8.5 to 1, I'd probably bet him right now. He's 5 to 1. Finau's 12. Hovland and Spieth are both 14. Morikawa is 16. Sung Jae is 18. Homa 20. Burns and Fowler are both 25 to 1. And Tommy Ladd is 30 to 1 on the betting board at Colonial this week. Everyone, and Justin Rose is actually there as well. They're all dropped below 30. Ricky, Rose, and Fleetwood are all 28 to 1 in real time, and there is no one situated in the 30s because Cam Davis has dropped from 70 to 40 to 1 in the span of 2 hours.
I bet Cam Davis at 66. I made 2 bets this morning. You mentioned 2 of them. I bet Cam Davis at 66. I bet Tommy Fleetwood at 37.
I kind of like Tommy. I wrote him up in my column on DK Nation. I don't know if I'm going to get there as a bet to win, but based on this pricing from DraftKings, I'm guessing his DraftKings price is going to be pretty good. He hasn't lost off the tee, on approach, around the greens, or on the greens in any of his past 5 tournaments.
Yeah, I'm just selfishly concerned. If he wins this week, would that make his crowd or be more popular in Canada? I don't know. That kind of annoys me, but My middle name is top of the market Tommy. Now that only leads to more losing bets. And I think the only Tommy Fleetwood winners I've hit, Pat, in my life are like 22-1 in Europe or like 12-1 in some Nedbank or some bullshit. So he still owes me a lot of money. 37 in a field like this was like a click.
Is this
actually no? It was I had to harass people who had access to the number to make it for me. I couldn't even make it myself, so I had to lit up someone else's phone this morning.
Should we think about Sungjae and Burns just after their disastrous week? At least they got to take the weekend off to recuperate, head to Colonial, go play. Burns is obviously the defending champ.
So we would agree because, I mean, before that, and I think there's a fair conversation with both. Victor Hovland, and if you want, you could put Justin Rosen as the only true good players in this field. Oh, Scheffler goes without saying, stupid. That contended, right? Like, Victor contended at the Masters, if you want, then first round led at the RBC. You were probably getting a wine enema at that time. So he responded to that well. What number would you for sure play Sungjae at?
25? He's 22 or he's 20. I can probably find a 25.
There are 24s.
Yeah, then yeah, probably. I don't know. I'm thinking about just betting Scheffler. Screw it. I think he's gonna win. He led everyone at tee to green like yesterday, like for the tournament. Dude just didn't make enough putts. He didn't even putt poorly. He just putted average. I thought that would have been enough for him, but Brooks just made too many putts. I think Brooks gained like 4 strokes putting. Scotty was like 0.1 or something like that. But as long as Scheffler doesn't actively putt himself out of this tournament, I'd like to go back and look at the past winners of this event. And like last year was a bit wonky because you had that terrible wind on the final day that Burns was able to post and everyone fell back. So the winning score was -9, but it's not usually -9. But if you can get to like -14, -15, -16, that's around the realm of where you want to be to win this tournament. And I think that bodes well for Scotty. I think that bodes well for Fleetwood. Like if it was one of these tournaments where like the Byron Nelson, where Scheffler played great, actually putted, but you had to putt so well in order to get to the number required to win that he just wasn't going to get there. So like -9, -14, -15, -13. Rose won at -20. Kisner won at -10. So like you shoot -12, -13, like you're live to win. Like Scotty seems like a lock to do that.
All fair points. It's his 3rd week in a row. You probably feel like the things that he'd been working on, he feels like you see gains coming from some nut low putting that we were experiencing, like at the Masters, essentially.
I mean, basically post. And it kind of started at match play when he missed that short putt against Burns. And then like for a month he couldn't putt.
And last year, Pat, Justin Thomas with his crazy comeback at the PGA, there were like over 100-1 winning live number tickets on that. And then the very next week, Sam Burns, like there were live over 100-1 tickets. It was just this back-to-back spell of like elite players making insane Sunday charges. But I remember that crazy wind that Scheffler got caught up in. It kind of feels like it was like cruising to this one. Hard for me to get there on Scheffler, but the case, I mean, if he's 8-1 to win the PGA and you can get him like 5-1 to win this, and maybe if there's an enhance, you could even get it a little higher.
Yeah, the enhance gets it up to 5-1.
I would argue comparatively, like the 5-1 here feels exponentially better than 8-1 last week.
I agree. He almost won last week. He seems to play well where he's played well. I'm not calling him a Homa or a Bubba guy, like to have his courses, because he's so good he can transcend any course. But he seems to have returned to the courses where he's played well and done so again with relative ease. That'd be like way too boring for me. Winning money? Yeah. Who needs it? Is this field weak enough for Finau to win? Or is it too strong at the top?
It might be a little too strong comparative to the 3M, the Mexico, and the where else? Houston. It's probably stronger than all of those. But I mean, I don't know. I like where your mind is with Sungjae and Burns. I would argue Sungjae. I mean, what a dead fish thought last week after making that trip. Like, so stupid. So stupid. Myself, others were on it.
Me, I bet it.
Burns is just a natural born winner that I could take I could see him popping with no form. Most would tell you to trust Burns more than Sungjae if you're talking about an actual win.
Yeah.
If you want a guy to finish like 9th or 8th or make you feel like you're going to win on Friday, then Sungjae's like a great guy to bet.
That's actually a really good point. That Burns will let you know right away whether he's in it or not. But if he's in it, he's got a chance.
Yeah, and Sungjae's like going to a strip club. Like, you're just getting your balls fondled till, like, the night's over and you're still hard.
I jumped off the train. Is it potentially time to jump on Morikawa at this course? Obviously, he lost in the playoff to Berger in the first tournament out of COVID. He missed that 2-foot putt in the playoff to hand him the trophy. But if Morikawa's, his game needs to be going so right for him to contend at. He did contend at Farmers. He's contended at Riviera twice now. But those are more difficult courses for his skill set. There's been so much pressure on him to be able to hit those longer irons. Like, you're just not going to hit any long irons here. It's basically, can you make enough putts to keep up if you have pinpoint accuracy and precision with your irons? And the first two, he has. And he actually putted pretty well at the PGA. Pretty well is a stretch. He putted pretty well for Morikawa. He gained strokes putting at the PGA Championship. In fact, he gained across the board. I don't know. When I think of Morikawa long-term, where are the places that he is going to do well? It's not going to be at Bombers tracks. It's going to be at Heritage and Colonial and Wyndham and Eastlake and the Sony Open, those types of courses. And this is one of those types of courses.
Yeah, so I would rather just play like, I was looking at this morning, and part of me, like, you make the strong case for Morikawa if I don't know, if you're expecting it, it's got that long drought. Would I be crazy? I'm going up a level, but like, this is ultra poor man's Morikawa. Like, maybe I'll just play Henley.
Sure.
Because you mentioned all those courses where like, you mentioned Sony, like, you just made a run of course, like another guy that's just lights out with the approach and can't putt. I don't know why. It might feel like I trust Henley to hit more putts than Morikawa this week. That might be the dumbest thing I've said. Maybe I'll shut up now.
Yeah, they both putt poorly. Let's put it that way. And even on bent, like, that's the worst putting surface historically for Russell Henley, who comes in at 40-1 right now. But he gained 4 strokes on approach in 2 rounds of the PGA Championship. He just putted himself out of the tournament. So
yeah, it was incredible. And that was off of 4 strokes approach, I believe, the week before. A nice little tee to green at the Heritage. Not the week before, his tournament before.
Yeah, he gained 3.9 over 4 rounds. So he gained 2 basically per round at the PGA Championship, just couldn't convert on anything. He won the Shell, right? Yeah, he did. He won the Shell in 2017 at like 12-1 or something stupid, when Fowler was running away with it with Sung Kang, and then we got to Sunday and Russell Henley won. He shot 65.
Homa do anything for you? It seems like he's sort of totally forgotten at this moment. It's not a major. I don't know what his comfort level would be at this track at the moment.
I think I'm just going to stick to Homa at Homa courses. Theoretically, it makes a ton of sense, right? You need someone who can putt. You need someone who can hit their irons pretty close. But I don't know, just his game seems kind of all over the place at the moment. I don't love what he's doing, but we know he can. The year that we bet on Na to win and he outran Finau, I think he gained like 12 strokes putting. Like, Homa's live to do that one of these weeks.
Well, that was a great win.
We've had some nice wins at this. We had Kokrak over Spieth. That was a nice one.
And that Na, I literally bet Na because there was a great Twitter video of him the year before, like having this conversation with his caddy and then hitting the perfect shot. I don't know. That was weird. Although I'm sure the data pointed to it as well. You mentioned great irons, hit the putts, Justin Rose, Ricky Fowler, as we're just sort of talking about the end of the good player segment. And I don't know, good players really just win events. Although there's some guys deeper I do like.
Rose is interesting because his irons were on fire at the PGA Championship. He's won this tournament before too. And like, his crappiness off the tee is somewhat mitigated here. Like, he's obviously driving distance is fairly irrelevant at this course. Could he go out and get it done? Yeah, I think he could. Like, and he just won. He won at Pebble, and that would be like another like Morikawa type course where you just don't need the distance. It's all about irons and putting, and obviously Rose putts better than Morikawa does.
Like, I'm the idiot who's betting Tommy Fleetwood when Rose is probably the bet.
That seems
Not that I couldn't.
It seems on brand for you.
Yeah. Not that I couldn't bet both. And try to stick with good players because good players win. Maybe this is a nice spot for Ricky. I'm seeing a number between 25 and 33 at the moment.
Weirdly enough, and maybe this is completely irrelevant, but Ricky's never really played well at this tournament, ever. So that's me. What about Spieth at 12? Like, I like Spieth better than I like Hovland and Finau.
Yeah, Spieth showed he's healthy. Despite, I mean, he's wearing the tape. I don't really read much into. I shouldn't say 100% healthy, but didn't seem like it was a bother. And if he was hurt, he would not be playing the week at like, because I assume he's playing Memorial next week.
I would guess it's an elevated event.
Yeah, and then the U.S. Open for him. Like, there's no way he would play the week after a major if he had soreness with Memorial and another major so close. So him simply being in the field, although maybe there's another text that comes later, and then, you know, he was sad to withdraw from Nelson, and maybe that happens again. But yeah, I'd rather speak than Finau. I'd rather speak than Finau.
Okay.
Which is hard for me. Well, I don't say that much ever, I don't think.
No, you really don't, but their odds aren't generally like the same when they're both playing well. But usually when Spieth is playing well, he's way above Tony. And then when he's playing poorly, he's way behind Tony.
Yeah, I wonder where the official people who are like never play Finau in hard fields are with this one. I don't think we can classify it as a hard field, though.
No, it's not. And Finau's played, I mean, it was Na who outran Finau at the end of that tournament. Finau's played well with this course in the past. All right, so that's the 30-1. I mean, I don't really care about everyone over 40-1 in this field. Basically feels like shades of the same guy. So I'm probably going to end up betting on Seabez, who I like at this tournament. It takes out his biggest weakness, which is distance and driving in general. So hopefully he can be around field average there. He's gained over 4 strokes on approach in 4 straight tournaments. He gained 4.4 strokes on approach in 2 rounds last week and lost the exact same amount on the greens after gaining in 5 straight. So I'm not really worried about him on the greens overall. So I like Bez. You can catch him as low as 90-1, but I'll see where I can get that with the placement. So I do like Bez, and I bet Bhatia at 175-1 because, like I told you, maybe I said this on the research show, is that I'm just going to start betting Bhatia every week. He's good.
Yeah, I mean, seems like the guy can just go nuclear, right? Like, it seems like if it is like, he can go 6 shots lower than scoring average.
Yes.
Even when it's playing hard. Like, he seems to have that element, which is something from an outright perspective. You know, it's easy to bet. We bet a lot of losers over 100-1 that, you know, from Thursday at noon, they're done. So there's no different if he sucks. I thought you might try to sell Harris English, or is this course not a place you would want him?
I like Harris English, but I mean, I don't know how much, depending on what I do at the top. Like if I bet Scheffler, like I'm done. There'd be like Scheffler, Bez, and Bhatia. Yeah. I think it depends on the rest of what I do. He's kind of in that little middle range. Like I don't mind Spawn. Bez is the same as English. I like Bez a little bit more, but Harris English could most definitely be the guy to target in that spot. I missed the Cam Davis boat, and I'm not betting him at 40-1. It's just not happening. I actually like Chris Kirk better than I like Chris Kirk and Brian Harmon and Siwoo in that like little range. You even mentioned Henley. I think I like all 4 of those guys better than Cam Davis now that he's in their range.
Yeah, or I don't know. I mean, you mentioned Pebble and the short courses are just irons and putter. Maybe Hoagie gets some love this week. I guess because we're just naming anyone in front of 100.
No, you can go beyond 100.
Or so, yeah. So, okay, let me find. Okay, so there is 100, but it's like mainly 80, 90-1. When we did the Wells Fargo show, I said I'm 100% betting this guy at the Byron Nelson. He did not play at the Byron Nelson because I guess 40th place in elevated events pays so well that you know, you don't have to go to shitty events like I might thought you'd want to.
Is it Bo Hostler?
No. It's Emiliano Grillo.
Okay. Can he make enough putts?
It would have. I never bet each way. Like literally never. I don't think I've bet one in a calendar year. Actually, that's a lie. I bet one on a live event on a Carlos Ortiz, and he missed it by one stroke because I felt with the field so small, you get a guy at like 50-1 and live. Maybe it's worth each way just by field size. But I can't literally remember if I do play each ways. I never condone them. I don't like playing them. You cannot bet Grillo to win. So maybe I'll just do what I said I was going to do the week of Mexico. And that was just bet Grillo in like other markets and have him make me money. Or at Wells Fargo, where I think he finished top, just missed the top 20. But yeah, that's a guy I was looking at. And I've probably already said way too many words. Ryan Fox also, but if you just want to bomb it around this place.
Yeah, and you don't need to bomb it around this place is the thing. Like
yeah, there's just another name that I was kind of swimming around that, you know, felt like maybe he's better than the names he's around. But as you would say, like, because Ryan Fox plays well in Europe, like, do you know he's better than Harris English? No, I don't.
Yeah. And Harris English does have 2 top 5s at this tournament in his career. For what it's worth.
Yeah, no, I mean, I wasn't there with the Harris English PGA Championship, and I think that was more of like a DraftKings, or that was never like a serious, I think he can win the tournament conversation, even by people who liked him last week. But I, like, for months have sort of been saying, if we see signs of life from Harris English, that's when I'll want to bet him. I can ignore last week and go back to that 3rd place at Wells and think there could be something there, going back to Colonial I'm seeing a 90-1. So maybe.
All right. Do you have anyone else? Because I don't.
No. I mean, I promised myself after what Thomas Detry did in Belgium in the final round that I would take a break. But there are 100-1s. And I just see him attacking these pins. And these are the types of fields where he'll tease me for a bit. But no, I don't really see anyone that I want to invest in. I mean, when Seb Straka gets hot with the irons, he can be lights out. But are the iron shots this week long enough for him to be good?
Yeah,
that makes any sense.
They're kind of they're the opposite of what they were at Oak Hill, where they're like the majority come from 150 and in.
Like, so it's like the Matt Neesmith iron shot.
Like Todd is going to have a good week, kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. Or 2. It's not penal enough, and the iron shots aren't long enough for Sepp Straka to be able to like have an advantage, I guess.
That would be my take. I mean, watch him go out. And
no, that makes sense.
Tom Jacobs did throw out that in the recent past, that guys that have done well in Austin have played really well here.
Like the match play?
Yeah. Like Kisner's won at this course. Burns has won at this course. Scheffler obviously came second. Kuchar's had some really nice
random run. Who played well? Like who's random that like did Lucas Herbert play well at match play? Like who's random? Who am I thinking?
He did. He actually did play well. Cam Davis played really well at match play.
Okay. I mean, it's really something I hadn't thought about.
Homa made the second round, but that wasn't really based on anything well that he did. Just everyone he played sucked. And then he got a walkover in the final match, I think.
Yeah, right. Kisner's played well here.
Kisner's won here. I just told you that.
Yeah.
Which keeps bringing me back to Scheffler, is what I'm trying to say.
Easy. It's an easy game, Scheffler.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about just dumping it all on Scheffler here. So let's get to the quick picks in the one and done. I don't really have much. I bet Bhatia at 175-1. Bez, I'm searching for a better number, but worst case scenario, it's going to be 75 with 5 places. And then I have to figure out what I'm going to do at the top. I might just go with Scheffler, and that's going to be it. Or I might do the Morikawa Rose, Henley. You kind of talked me into Henley a little bit. So that's the other path that I would take if I don't do Scheffler. Tune in Wednesday to figure out what Pat does.
For me, so the bets I've made, Fleetwood 37. I got that early. Cam Davis 66. Like you mentioned, I'm looking at Henley. I don't know why. I've never bet the guy before, but Steven Yager and his crew are kind of calling my name potentially. That's one I'm looking at. And I mentioned Griot, Harris English. Those would be the guys if I don't play the top, but I don't know that I'll get tempted enough from any of the elites in the field to bet them.
One and
Bryson
done.
in Live.
Yeah, Bryson, you sold me on that. I bet Bryson on Live as well. 24 to 1.
24 to 1 is where I'm seeing it. He should be down there with like the better players on Live, not with Varner and Uline like you mentioned on a Live board. Come on.
For one and done, Tim has selected Sam Burns. I have selected Russell Henley as my one and done, and Jeff has selected Michael Block.
Also like Justin Rose.
I like Rose too. I mean, I can see myself betting Rose. I think I'd rather bet Rose than Fleetwood now that we've talked it through a little bit. But I've already used Rose in one and done, so I can't do that again. I used him the week before he won.
Yeah, maybe like me saying a smart person would bet Rose, I'll bet Fleetwood should just be like, you could still bet Rose. Maybe I will. I just set him for one and done, so obviously I like him a lot.
Justin Rose, one and done for you. All right. We spent more time on the recap, but I don't think people are super fired up for the Charles Schwab Challenge.
Yeah, I don't know. This field, we got another elevated event.
It's a good field, though, for a week after a major and before an elevated event with another major coming up in 3 weeks and an elevated event the week before. This is a really strong field. I like this field. I love watching this course. I love Colonial. So, I'm going to be invested into watching it either way. But I'm kind of stunned. So many good players showed up.
Yeah, good points.
That will do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. Get 20% off any membership at fantasynational.com at fantasynational.com/Mayo. Playing the DraftKings Listeners League. Link down in the description. Smash the like, sub to the channel. And that will do it for today. I'm Pat Mayo. I'll see you next time.
Mayo Experience! Experience!